MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು 100 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬಿದ ಅವರು ಹಾಗೂ ನಾನು ಪರಸ್ಪರ ಹಲವಾರು ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿದಂಥ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದ ನೆನಪುಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನಿವತ್ತು ಅವರ ಮುಂದೆ ನನ್ನ ಭಾವನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಆನಂದ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಒಬ್ಬ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ವರ್ಗದವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಮಧುಗಿರಿ 100 ವರ್ಷದ ಬದುಕಿನ ಹೋರಾಟದ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯನ್ನು ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. 1962ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ವಿಧಾನಸಭೆಗೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹಲವಾರು ಸಾರಿ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಚರ್ಚೆನೂ ನಡೆದಿದೆ. ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಧಾನಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೆದಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಬಸವಲಿಂಗಪ್ಪನವರು ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರು. ಕೆಲವು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಆಡಿದ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ಸಮರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಮೊದಲನೇ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ವಿಧಾನಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಂಥ ಚರ್ಚೆ. ಅವರು ತಾವೇ ಸ್ವತಃ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನನ್ನ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆಗೆ ಬಂದಂತೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಮಧುಗಿರಿ ತಾಲೂಕು. ಅವರೆಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಆರ್ಥಿಕವಾಗಿ ಮೊದಲು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತನ್ನನ್ನು ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವುದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೃದಯ ತುಂಬಿ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಮೆಚ್ಚುಗೆಯನ್ನು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾನೊಬ್ಬ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ರೈತನ ಮಗ. ಅವರು ರಾಜಕೀಯದ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಹಿರಿಯರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೈ ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಪಕ್ಷದಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆಲೇ ಹಾಕಿ. ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಮಯ್ಯನವ್ರ ಮನೆಗೆ ಕರೆಸಿ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ನೀನು ಹೆದರಬೇಡ, ನೀನು ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಾಸ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು ತುಂಬಿ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಮಾಡಿ ನನ್ನ ಪಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಹಲವಾರು ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಅವರ ನನ್ನ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಎರಡನೇ ಬಾರಿ ಒಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನೇಕ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೈವಾರದ ಗುರುಗಳು ತಾತಯ್ಯನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಮಿತವಾದಂಥ ಭಕ್ತಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಕೆಲಸಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿದರು. ಒಂದು ರಸ್ತೆನ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೊಸಕೋಟೆಯಿಂದ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಾತಯ್ಯನವರ ಜನ್ಮ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಶ್ರಮ ಇದೆ. ಆಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆದ್ದಾರಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಚನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅವರ ಸದುದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದರು ಅಂದಿನ ಇಲಾಖಾ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು. ನಾನು PWD ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಯನ್ನು ಬಗೆಹರಿಸಿದೆ. ಅವರ ಸಾಧನೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದಾದರೆ ಹಲವಾರು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜುವರೆಗೆ, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜು, ಹೀಗೆ ಹಲವಾರು ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಡ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಉಪಕಾರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ಅನೇಕ ಜನರಿಗೆ, ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭ್ಯಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಆರ್ಥಿಕವಾಗಿ ಶೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬದಲಾಗಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇದು ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಧುಗಿರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಂಥ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಸರಳ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಾದರೂ ಹೇಗೆ ಹಂತ ಹಂತವಾಗಿ ಈ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅವರು ಪಾರ್ಥಿವ ಶರೀರ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಭೌತಿಕ ಶರೀರ ಇನ್ನು ಜನತೆಯ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳಿಯುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನಿಂದ ಕಿಂಚಿತ್ತು ಅವರ ಒಡನಾಡಿಯಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕೆಲವು ದಿನಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನೀಗ ಮೆಲುಕು ಹಾಕಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಅಥವಾ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಆಭಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರವರ ಕುಟುಂಬದವರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾಗಿ ಅಭಿನಂದಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಅಗಲಿ ಹೋಗಿರುವ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ದಿವಂಗತ MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಅವರ ಭೌತಿಕ ಶರೀರ ನನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ತಿಳಿದಂಥ 4 ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು, ಸಮಾಜದ ಕೊಡುಗೆ, ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿದಂಥ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಶಾಶ್ವತವಾದ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು, ತಾತಯ್ಯನವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಂಥ ಅಪ್ರತಿಮ ಭಕ್ತಿ, ನಾನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅಭಿನಂದಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನನಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದೊಂದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠವಾದ ದಿವಸ. ನಿಮಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
Dr. MS Ramaiah was a great philanthropist who built many institutions using his fortune for the welfare of the society. His great family and all of us are carrying on his legacy and trying to implement his vision in ever-widening scope. I had known Dr. MS Ramaiah for some years before he passed away in 1997. He was a famous personality, well known for his philanthropy, and all his great achievements were extremely impressive in terms of construction of major projects and developing of various institutions. I had met him on several occasions, including a couple of functions where he was distributing scholarships to a large number of students from different districts who needed financial help. I could see the number of institutions he was building up over the years, including the medical college, the engineering college, the hospitals, and very many educational institutions all over. Another great dimension of his personality was the way he associated himself with a spiritual center in Kaivara, where he spent a substantial amount of his time organizing people to in activities which are charitable, which are in pursuit of spirituality. I had occasion to meet Dr. M.S. Ramaiah barely 2 weeks before he passed away, when he was participating actually at a wedding, and he appeared to be in great health. But unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, we heard that he had left for his heavenly abode. He may not be physically with us today, but I am sure his legacy, which is now influencing the lives of hundreds of thousands of people who are studying here, who are getting cared for in their hospitals, that legacy will continue. And the great work that Dr. Ramaiah did during his lifetime is being continued and expanded by his affectionate family of sons, daughters, and grandchildren. May his legacy live on as an inspiration to all noble-minded people in this society. Sometime in 1997, December, he was so cheerful, nobody would have expected him having any kind of problems at that time. And he received many of his guests with a smile and a garland, spoke for a few minutes with each one of them, and I myself was received so warmly and affectionately. I can never forget that moment. And he put a garland round my neck and blessed me with total affection. And that is my last memory of late Dr. M.S. Ramaiah.
I was on the lookout for job elsewhere, and I came to know that Mr. Ramaiah had taken job in project there, and he was in need of experienced engineers. I was called for a so-called interview. Question he asked was, when will you go? Even before interview, asking question, finding suitable or not was not there. The very first question he asked me was when I would be leaving for Bihar. I said, what about my salary? He said, that I will give you, he said, in a very jocular way. Anyway, we had very nice conversation without talking about salary or the job. That is how Mr. Ramaiah and my relationship, so to say, started. His nephew, Mr. R. Ramaiah, used to stay there as a local representative of him. Various other engineers were there, and I started as one of the engineers. I had heard about Mr. Ramaiah before I joined him. Ramaiah had worked in the Sharavati project. He was a top engineer in Karnataka. He was also in the North Karnataka, where the canal system of the old canal system was being increased, and near Bagalkot, Bijapur and all that places. Mr. Ramu, M.R. Ramaiah, nephew, he knows it well. Mr. Ramu, myself and Mr. M.S. Ramaiah, we three were involved with the Bihar government, including the Governor of Bihar, Minister of Irrigation, Chief Minister, etc. He was not considering me as an employee. He was considering me as part of his family. Not only part of his family, as a member of a family who looks after his safety and good. That's how Ramayanavaru, ನನ್ನ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಇಂದ, ಈಸ್ ಎ ಯೂನಿಕ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ. ಆ ಥರದವರು ಬಹಳ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಸಿಗೋದು. ಒಂದು, he was not an engineer, but he was the best engineer. Because his brain, his knowledge was not limited to certain things only. It was very wide open. He could take, for example, in the advocate's case, when Ramaiah's case started, in the various times, myself, I have gone with Ramaiah to the advocates. While advocate was giving certain point about defending his case, Ramaiah would raise a question which the advocate would not be able to talk under, because that is how he could think. Because of that, when the actual case started, our advocate was more well prepared. You understand what I am telling? His knowledge had been increased due to the knowledge of Mr. Ramaiah. Ramaiah had gone through various difficulties from his childhood, younger days, as a contractor. He had more knowledge, more experience than these people. He had only legal experience, but he did not know how it would. Ramaiah worked as, I don't know whether you know, as a laborer. Then he worked as a part-time contractor. Then he became a fairly big-time contractor. Then he became top-level contractor. ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ, ಆ ಥರ ಮನುಷ್ಯರು ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ. You won't find them. They come once in a while. Why they come, how they come, we don't know. But they come, they exist, they go, that's all. He would tell me, I am an engineer. I had a postgraduate degree. He is not even a SSLC certificate. He is only an experienced engineer. He would give me some points about the engineering which I should raise during the meeting, which I would not even think about, not know about. I mean, that is how his internal, that whatever was there was something which was not coming from outside, it had come from within. That is how an illiterate person rose to be number one engineer of Karnataka to do Sharavati project. Sharavati project was done by other engineers also, who had 8 or 10 qualified engineers with them. Ramaiah had 2 or 3 qualified engineers. I was not with him at that time, but I knew the engineers. One Deshpande was there, another was there. They were all engineers, graduate engineers. They were working, but they had to depend on Ramaiah's knowledge rather than their own knowledge. But ಇವರು ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಿಗಿಂತಲೂ ಒಂದು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮೇಲಿದ್ರು. He would think also about what to do. Doing something which somebody tells is something. Doing something, thinking it on your own is something else. Thinking it on your own to improve it is something much more. ಅವರದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೋಣ, ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೋಣ. ನನ್ನ ಅವರು ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಓವರ್ ದೇರ್, he asked me to join the staff of the engineering college. I became staff of the engineering college also. When I was staff of the engineering college, he used to come daily to the engineering college also. One, to see the work which was going on, construction. Another, to see that the college worked properly. During that time, during meeting, he used to tell about the engineering education itself. He was not educated. He was not even literate, so to say. His knowledge was limited to somewhere around lower level of middle school or something. But his knowledge was very high. His knowledge was higher than doctorate in engineering. doctorate in engineering was nothing compared to his unique. His personality, his knowledge was unique. Sat with him in the government of Bihar, ask a question, they were not able to answer. You can understand how it is. It is not education by going to college. I had gone to college, I have done engineering degree, master's degree engineering. He had done not even SSLC. But his knowledge of engineering from the point of view of construction was much more than what we all of us could tell. That is because it had come from inside, from within. I not only understood the man, I understood his philosophy, I understood how he stood for. When we went to arbitration with the Bihar government, he was there, myself was there, another engineer was there. There he would not talk, he would allow us to talk. But before going he would say, this is exactly what I want. I mean, what I am trying to say is, he was giving the importance to you, but not leaving that to hamper his advantage. His advantage was also important, giving you importance also. I used to feel very important when I was talking, because he had given me the role to talk. If I had not been given, I would sit quietly. He would utilize what is important at that time only. If it was good for you, he would be good for you. If it was bad for somebody, he would be bad for that. So, his knowledge of judging people, behaving with them was different and exactly dependent on what was required at that time. That is important. He would not blame you, even if it was wrong on your part. If he found that it was not your intention to make it wrong. But if it's somebody careless, you have made it go wrong, he would not leave you, he would blast you. That sort of thing I don't know how to tell. And a person, a boss to be able to exactly know what is right, what is wrong, what is right at what time, that is what he was having. That is how he built the college, that is how he built the hospital, that is how the whole existence of Gokula Education Foundation is existing. Ramaiah as a personality has not been duplicated so far. People are there with better knowledge, better etc. But his knowledge, his approach, his doing things has been something unique.
Speaking on the occasion, on the eve of the centenary of the birth of Shri M.S. Ramaiah, to a great visionary of technical education, on the occasion of the centenary of his birth anniversary. I joined MSRIT on 1st July 1963. I promoted head of the department in 1964. The chairman would take personal interest in discussion the progress and problems and take our suggestions too in solving the problems of the institution. Years rolled on. Our students were doing very well in the examinations and the college earned a good name. Somewhere in May 1971, I was surprised to receive a call from the chairman that I should meet him at 8:30 a.m. The day was a Sunday, but he assured me that he was chosen that date only. I met him as decided. We took our seats on the stone bench of the open park where the stage was in the background. It was one of his favorite spots in the college premises. He offered me the post of principal. I was taken aback a little. I accepted the post and served as principal from 10 June 1971. I would like to mention here that he had this quality of understanding people. He knew I loved coffee and he had brought coffee in a flask. The first step at the principal under his directions was we started a civil engineering branch, subsequently followed by chemical, industrial, electronics branches. All issues were attended properly, discussed with him and solved within a few years. Our institution could hold its head high. He was an excellent reformer. Teachers were deputed for higher studies to improve the quality of education. Students were provided with good library, hostel facilities and sports. In a scheme unique to the institution, children of all the employees were provided seats free of donation in the engineering college. Today all these children have benefited and made good, big names for themselves thanks to the chairman. Another unique scheme was advancing loan for building houses. He was even planning on a comprehensive health scheme for staff members. The initial 10 years, he was the chairman of the governing council of staff selection committee. Both these had eminent public figures like chairman of industrial establishments and professionals from universities representing AICTE and Bangalore University, would conduct celebrations in a highly professional way, and the agenda would be finished as per program. He made a point to have good relations with the students. He happily participated in all functions arranged by students. He would never miss the 15th August Independence Day celebrations. He would also attend the annual athletic meet of the college. He had a great memory. He knew many students by name and he would talk to them in their language. He was conversant in more than one language. Besides Kannada, he knew Hindi, Marathi, Telugu and Tamil, and of course English. As regards his interests, we would say a chisel cutting the stone was music to his ears. He had a fine, natural, God-given gift of judging people accurately and was proved right many a time. When I was due to retire in 1988, he offered me an extension of 1 year, and after this period I was appointed as administrator for a period of 3 years till 12 June 1992. I would like to say that I had the honor of working in an excellent institution under the guidance of a remarkable Karmayogi like the founder chairman. Even today he is a role model to many of us. He started from very humble beginnings and he would spend every with grit and determination attained the position where he could train doctors, engineers and management people. During the later stages of his career, he was drawn towards spiritual side. He would regularly discuss the characters in Mahabharata with me. He had an in-depth understanding of these classics. He found a solace in Kaivara and teachings of Tata Narayanappa. He would spend every Sunday at Kaivara and improved the facilities for many devotees to visit. Now the work has been continued by C.M. M.R. Jairam, and the place had a prominent name in the pilgrimage centers. I would like to conclude by saying that he left behind a legacy of imparting technical education to students, and this has helped them in choosing their goals. Also, the huge gathering of alumni with their families from India and abroad shows the popularity of the institution and its chairman. Thanking you once again for the opportunity given to me to offer my humble tributes to a great man. I think it can't be described in one word. I can only say he was great. great is a word which you can't replace because it has got all aspects are covered. It got the positive qualities, all positive qualities. Because quality has got both negative and positive characteristics. But he had lately starting to overcome his anger in the beginning, and then listening carefully to all the people, taking judgment on every issue. He would not fret and fume as he was earlier doing, as I don't know, but it was quite, the problems were many. I can only say courageous. One word can be said, is absolute courage. There are many incidents involving students. It so happens that students are dissatisfied with something and it will erupt. In fact, actually, there were all efforts made to burn my room because there was a invigilation was strict or something, some problem. But he took it absolutely cool, and when the police intervened, he said, otherwise sometimes he would intervene and see that the students are let off with easy, but that day he said, I don't mind. When they attack the principal, that means they have lost their balance of mind. And but he had courage. He would move about without any escort among students. He was popular, actually. And of course, the college went through adverse financial circumstances. But he faced it very boldly. It's very easy to say, talk now. Salaries were due, and so many commitments are there. The college has to be equipped. But every day he would think about it, how to see that these. Of course, afterwards we got, the days were easy, and he would put every ounce of his energy into the college. Definitely a man of courage. And he would tell me so many times, we go and meet, suppose we go and meet the Vice Chancellor or Minister, they go with confidence. Remember that you are not Prahlad Rao only, you are the principal of a college. And that attitude you should go. Never be deterrent towards this, towards the authority. Maybe Vice Chancellor, you talk in equal terms. Then only they will understand you. If you go on requesting some too much, it will be misunderstood, even though your point may be correct. He would try to infuse confidence in people. For a man whom he thought had not formal education, that was a remarkable feature. He was, so many times he would come and say his encounters with ministers and so on. And absolutely, Ramaiah only could do that. Even though some staff members sometimes might have given him cause for grievance, he would never have a grudge against anybody. In fact, he had a tussle, I would say a difference of opinion with a staff member, and we went to the Vice Chancellor about it, don't sir. But the same gentleman, when he came out and built a house under our scheme, he called me and we went to Guru Pravesham together, and he was blessed the people. He had forgotten all about the previous incidents. Not one incident, so many times he would say that teachers had the greatest respect for teachers. In fact, when his primary school teacher used to come, sometimes for a seat or something, he would get up, conduct him to his seat, find out how he is doing, and whatever the grievance he had, or whatever request he had would be granted. He was, but you can only feel, he was never See, had no uppish attitude towards poor people, teachers. But hypocrisy, he would never tolerate. People coming and praising him with a view to getting a seat or some donation for some car, something. He would immediately cut them and say, what do you want? Yen bek nimge. Ready. That's all he would cut down. And then if he's, otherwise he would say, with a lenient case, he would try to help. So many cases I have seen where he helped people, poor people, who got the free seats. Generous attitude, he had a generous attitude towards, especially later, when the college could financially manage. He was extremely liberal. The example I have given, teachers' sons, all teachers and staff, many of them, even the workshop staff and all that, the children were educated in the college, free of course, fee of fees also would not be collected. And they are now established as engineers working somewhere. And he would say that when the government intervenes, Ramaiah and Magan go seat se gola paili and mere no, because now they are free. Absolutely, admissions were free to choose. The only thing they would have to require qualifications required by the AICT, the government. If you maintain that, you could admit anybody. Discretion was left to the college. No discrimination on basis of caste, declassification, and backward community, and so on. Anybody we admitted. That is why we got students from all over India and even abroad, Middle East, Palestine, and number of students were there. In fact, it had become an international college once. Should live not 100 years, but sometimes some years more. Because in 1979, we had no idea at all. He started, currently he came and told me, I got permission to start medical college. And we have to make adjustments in the engineering college for initially starting the medical course. But the medical college developed under his guidance very rapidly. Buildings were capable and whatever is we did not worry about the location of the medical college. And I mean, he would take that decisions immediately. And today, medical college, which is hospital, and I think it's very useful to the society round about. Nobody thought it would be. One day, old student of mine, for the first batch, came about 8 years later after his passing, and he got secured a very high position in fact, the 4th rank, the university first batch, and he was employed in a public sector organization, and he had attained a higher post. Suddenly, he came to me practically weeping and said he would join the college as a lecturer. I said I could give you only lecturer's post at that time. He said he agreed. Then I got his biodata and his application and went to the chairman. Chairman said, he won't stay here. Some reason must be there for him to come and see. Do a public sector organization job and come here. Just wait for some. Then later on I found that he had been transferred from Northern India factory, and he couldn't go. Therefore, the best thing he wanted was to transition to teaching for some time and perhaps leaving. And then he never came, and in fact, the appointment order I had kept ready. That chairman would taunt me so many times. In front, because he knew that the student not really interested in teaching, but only selfish interest was there.
It gives me great pleasure to talk about our great personality, late Shri M.S. Ramaiah. I was very fortunate to associate with him for a long time, nearly 20 years. My association was with him. And then I knew the thick and thin of his personality. And then some episodes, I think I'll be very glad to give some episodes encountered with me. And then he wanted to learn the modern technology also. When I was selected for the teacher post, I met him and then told him, "Sir, I am working as a junior engineer in the electricity board. I have to resign and come and join your organization." I say, "Forget about it. I'll take care of you." These are the words he said, still ringing in my ears. "I take care of you." Okay, anyway, I resigned and joined the M.S. Ramaiah group September 4th, 1962. I have moved with him number of times. I have encountered with him thick and thin of those institution. He was very fond of bringing the institution to the great height. He used to tell that whenever M.S. Ramaiah Institute of Engineering should come to the forefront of equal to IITs. He was used to tell us, and then we had to work hard and all this. So he gave all the facilities, whatever facilities we wanted, he gave us, and then see that he has taken care of us as a family member, as a MSR group, family group. So that's one thing. To give an example of a practicality, and because he went as a contractor to the Maharashtra, and used to tell, there was a thing. So there was a problem of supplying surki to the site, and then he used to carry on head surki. Then he said a ramp was made, and then used to pour the surki to the ramp, and then from the ramp it used to collect on the work site. So that was the mechanized system he already adopted long back. That's one important thing, mechanization, all these things. Then he wanted to learn, because when we talk about the computers and all these things, he wanted to learn the computers. So he said, "What is that machine computer?" etc., etc. We are explained to him in a brief way as a worker and all these things. So then he has learned the rudiments of computers, what it does, what it does not do, and etc., etc. Then he used to sit on the selection of the computers, and then he used to ask questions about what is the memory, how much memory he has got, the computer has got, all those things, with simple explanation. He used to grasp the ideas of the computers, and he used to question the vendors, what is the capacity of these things, etc. Like that, he has the grasp of mind and attract. Okay, that's I remember about the computer and selection of the computers. And then selection of the teachers also, he had this sixth sense he used to select. So we used to select teachers, and "Sir, these are the teachers we have selected." And then I used to take them to this thing. "ಏನಪ್ಪ ಈ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ ನೀನು, ಆಯ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಇವನು 6 ತಿಂಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ." He has the sixth sense. Definitely after 6 months he used to leave and then go. So that was his sense. Therefore he has the capacity to select people, and sixth sense I told you. That's why the MSR group had very good teachers, and also that's why all his views and all these things. So that's about the selection of the teachers, and then sixth sense he had this thing. And he was a very hard taskmaster. So whenever there is a meeting and all these things, he used to give respect to the teachers. Whatever the ideas he used to get the ideas and implement. So what implementation? How to improve the quality of the education. Therefore, he used to devote all of his time to see that bring the institution to the very great height. So it has come, it has true. Now, MS Ramaiah, Institute of Technology, it has risen to the very great height and all these things. That was the practicality and Jaina thing, and then sense understanding the minds of the people. So that's one thing used to come to remember. We used to move along, and we discuss with him how to bring the institution, etc., etc. So that's why he took all the suggestions, most of the suggestions what we have given, not only me, by everyone, teachers, he used to implement. So this kind of, is this okay? He used to ask us, is this okay? What I have done is okay, etc. Yes, it is good. One remember, because our institution is by the side of the IAC, Indian Institute of Science. So he used to tell us, I would like to bring this institution to that level. Do you know why he said? It seems his father was responsible for the tower of the institution tower, put the last stone to the tower, because his father was a mason. So he used to tell us that tower stone my father has put there, installed that last stone at the tower. Therefore, I would like to see that my institution also comes to that level. So that was his ambition, and it has come true also. Decision making, he was quick in decision. So whatever the ideas we give, whatever the ideas, he used to implement that. To your example, we wanted to start electronics department as a new course to be implemented. So it was not and he was very quick in taking decision to start an electronics department, and then moved the government to give permission. Used to work on all the government level, and he implemented, and it was started as a third course in the series of courses he took. He took decision immediately and implemented, and then whatever the required laboratory and all these things, laboratories required, it was in overnight it was done. Whenever there is a committee used to come, overnight it was implemented, and then equipped all the electrons requirement, and the laboratory was erected. So he was very punctual to attend his office. At about 10 o'clock, he used to sit in this chair, and we used to feel that there was a vibration when he sit in his chair. The whole atmosphere used to vibrate. So that's punctuality. And also about his dress. So somebody came, because it was a very hot sun, and then it's a close collar coat he used to wear, and then because of the hot sun, he was to take rest in this. Therefore, he opened these collar buttons, and they used to take rest. And then somebody said, somebody wants to meet him. So he said, he closes all the collars and all these things, and then allowed him to interview. So that was it. And so about the dress, he was very punctual, and close collar suit and all this. That's one thing I remember. So whenever they wanted to meet them in a proper suit and coat. He used to celebrate the Teachers' Day in a very grand scale, because he said teachers are important for the growth of the knowledge. Therefore, he used to cater to all the engineering college students. We used to call them and then give beautiful dinner. That was beautiful dinner in the College of Professors. So the Teachers' Day, he called his primary school teacher to inaugurate. You remember? He called his primary school teacher who taught him, and called him to inaugurate the Teachers' Day. So that was respect for the teachers. He is very humane in the rest. Ayo Papa ಅನ್ನೋದಂತೂ ಪಾಪ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಲೋಯರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ಗೆ he used to this thing. He used to call them and then give them money and then feed them for the blind people. So that was it. Therefore, he had an idea about eradication of blind anta ondittu idea, but it was not implemented. Eradication of the blind, he wanted to have that one, and then it was not implemented somehow or the other. Probably in the medical hospital, they used to have that one thing you can't. Regarding the blind, he was saying, see, they can't see the world. That he was very, very pity. This blind has God's curse on them. Therefore, he used to call them, and whenever in the, I think in the 3 o'clock or 3:30, he used to, every blind people used to feed them and then give them money. So that for a certain moment, let them enjoy, let them feel happy about these things for a moment, etc. I think it is continuing with his Sanila, I think so. It is continued. That was one thing about the humanitarian consideration about the blind people. Every day at 2 o'clock, after he comes round, and I should meet him. That's one thing with him. I must meet him and explain to him what has happened that day. Therefore, that is 2 o'clock. Every day I should meet him, explain to him what has happened this day, etc., etc. That was one important point. Anyway, my association with him and all things. See, he was very, I told you, humanitarian. So he wanted all his teachers should be well off. Therefore, he took the initiative to all the teachers should have their own shelter. Therefore, there was a fund created for that one, and with that fund, he used to give them to have their own shelter, that is a house. And this house, and name is also M.S. Ramaiah. Name, did you observe that? Ramakrupa. Ramakrupa is there by this. Anyway, there is an incident. My house was built. I was very fortunate to invite him to this room, this house, and then he was there in that room, and then I prostrated before him, and then, do you know that it was not completed, the house was not completed, half and half Gruha Pravesha was done. And then, M.S. Ramaiah, inta managa karkonbarada. He abused me and then called me to his office and then gave money to complete this house. That was human. There's an incident. He used to take care of his subordinates very well. I think one fellow was working in, attender was there, and then he had a fracture on the leg and all these things. He gave all the money, full money amount to make his leg all right. So that was his one other humanitarian consideration, to take care of his subordinates. I was in the electricity board. When I went to him and then asked him, leave that and resign. I join this institution. I take care of you. These are the words sticking in my words. I take care of you. He took care of me to the end. He took care of me in the end. So that was his this thing. Teachers, he took care of all the teachers, and then he said all the teachers should be well and should be sufficient funds must be there. They must, when they are good and they are sufficiently well, then only they can teach well. Otherwise, they can't teach. With the problems in their house, how can they teach well? Therefore, he took care of all those things. He was a great visionary, and then he wanted to have the institution to great height, and it was brought to great height. And also, he was a very practical man, highly practical man, and with abundant common sense. Abundant common sense. One thing, one aspect about him is, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. It is possible, I can do it, I will do it. I can do it, I will do it. These are the sentences I can attribute towards M.S. Ramaiah. It was that personality. It was that his within quotes, I can do it, I will do it. That was said by MS Ramaiah. That is the important aspect, and I have learnt it also from them. That is, medical college alli they used to have a tower, you know that, right? A tower ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದಾಗಿ ವೀಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬಂತು ಬಿದ್ದಾಯಿತು. ಅವಾಗ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ನಿಂತರೆ ಅವನ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟು, ಬಿದ್ದರೆ ನಾನು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್. ಅವ್ರ ನಂತರ ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಟ್, ಏನು ನಿಂತರೆ ಅವರು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟು, ಬಿದ್ದರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಟು ಮೀ ಅಂತ ಲೈಟರ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋರು. ಅದೊಂಥರ ತಮಾಷೆ ಇರೋದೊಂಥರ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ದಟ್ ಟವರ್ number of branches were started when in his regime. So he used to tell, so because my department, I was in charge of electronics, all the electronics associated with this thing. So computer was started, electronics was started, then the information science was started, all this. The complete, the committee used to come, and then because I have to take the lead and to show that all these things. So I used to show them, this is the building for the information science, this is the building for the electronics and all, etc. And jocularly, MS Ramaiah used to tell me, ಅಪ್ಪ ಈ ಹುಡುಗಿನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀಯಪ್ಪ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಸೇ ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಟರ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದವರು, ಈ ಹುಡುಗಿನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀಯಪ್ಪ ನೀನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಒನ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಈಸ್ ಹಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಸಿ all the construction by himself. Whatever the going on in the college, he used to see himself. He must satisfy himself for all the work and all this. That was, he was meticulous about working. One thing I have learned from him is nothing is impossible. So everything is possible, but you have to put forth your effort to see that it should be implemented. That's one great thing I have learned from him. Once one politician we had invited him, I had forgotten the name of the politician, invited this thing. And you know what the politician said? Ramaiah is capable of doing anything and everything. If anybody says you construct your building from the top, you will definitely you will construct from the top and afterwards foundation. So that one he says about one politician said, I remember, I think, Ramaiah is capable of doing anything and everything. And in younger days, he never believed in God and all these things. So it is a personal effort, and then ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು. But in the later stages, after his mature mind, he said, there is one force controlling all these things, and we call this as God. That was God. So that was his conclusion. The force which controls all those things, we call him as God. So that was the conclusion he used to have. That of later stages, definitely he believed in God, and then took to what you call praising, prayer, and also serving the God and serving the poor. So that was his later stages. He is a self-made man. Whatever he achieved, it was his self-effort only. All the achievements he has used self-effort, he has done it. So from scratch to this level, it was definitely he used to tell, Kayakave Kailasa. That was one thing. Do and then get the things done. That was his motto. Sincerity. If you do anything in sincerity, definitely we achieve success. That was his another slogan within course. Sincerity is important, and then do it properly and immediately. Definitely you achieve success in this. That also I have learned from him. He is a great personality, and he believed in work, discipline. In his dictionary, nothing, no antilve illa, no antilve illa. Nothing is there. Everything is possible. It should be implemented properly and correctly with enthusiasm. Definitely we achieve. So we can achieve everything and everything if you make up your mind and with great effort. So these are the things. And also one thing is I have to tell you, he is self-made man, and in one conclusion is Yuga Purusha. Overhead, because ನಮಗೆ when we talk about MS Ram ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಓವರ್ ಎಂಥೂಸಿಯಾಸಮ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ್ದು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಯಾವ್ದು ಬಿಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ.
I am extremely happy to speak about Shri MS Ramaiah, a pioneering educationist in the state of Karnataka as well as in the country. Shri MS Ramaiah, he grew up in a humble beginning. Initially, he was a civil engineering contractor capable of handling very complex projects, not only in the state of Karnataka, but also in states outside like Bihar. Had made a big name. Probably he would have been around 25 years to 30 years of age at that time, at such an young age. He was handling very complex projects. Later, he also had a big hand in journalism. We learned that, of course, when we used to be young people, we knew about the newspaper Tainadu and also a Kannada weekly called Gokula. These were actually published from MSRG. Now, with such varied interests, it is something like a miracle that it crossed his MSRG's mind that he has to change over to education sector. In India, after independence, the government were investing, the government as well as many private entrepreneurs were investing in setting up of so many infrastructure industries, steel, cement, energy, telecommunication, and so on. And of course, the governments were also involved in establishing institutes of higher learning like Indian Institute of Technologies, Indian Institute of Management, and so on. However, it is MSRG's vision that he realized that the effort towards education, what the government and a few other people are doing, is not at all sufficient. And therefore, private individuals will have to involve themselves in opening up institutions of higher learning, particularly in engineering and medicine. With this kind of thinking, I should remark that the construction, civil engineering construction industry as well as the journalism, they totally missed his services. But the educational sector was the winner in the state. We learned that in 1962, he established the Gokula Education Foundation and started the MS Ramaiah College of Engineering with the basic departments of civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. In 1962, we have to realize that he was 40 years of age. 1922, he was born, 40 years of age, such an young age, and he had already participated in so many infrastructure projects around the country, and now he is establishing a foundation for starting engineering institutions, and the foundation was called Gokula Education Foundation. Later, he expanded this institution leaps and bounds, and practically he has become an icon for all educationists and also the students. He not only started and ran so many pioneering colleges under his aegis, but also provided so much of inspiration that was needed, and many others in the state as well as outside took up and invested in the educational sector. I am very happy to speak about my association with MSRG and narrate a few instances. I joined MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology in the year 1991. Shri M.R. Jairam, MSRG's son, was the chairman of the governing council, and they selected me as professor and head of computer science and engineering department of MSRIT. After selection, they advised me to go and meet the founder chairman MSRG. Accordingly, I went to MSRG's office and asked for his blessings. MSRG asked me about several things about me: my parents, my background, my education, where all I had worked earlier, and so on. Then he made one crisp remark, and that is, "Oh, I see, you are non-controversial. Now go ahead and develop your department, and for any of your needs to develop the department, you come straight to me and discuss. I will support." Now that was a very humbling experience for me to get such a confidence to work with the eminent person like MSRG. Now, it was the general practice of MSRG to take round, to walk around the campus every day at certain time. Normally, MSRG used to be very finely dressed with a close collared coat. He himself had a magnificent personality, and when he used to walk on the campus, it appeared as though the staff and even the faculty who spotted him coming would simply go to the side and somehow pass through. It appeared that they definitely had respect for him, high respect for him. It also appeared that there is some kind of fear when they saw MSRG. But in my mind, it was always clear to me that there is nothing to fear with MSRG. It is only those who may not do their work properly in the institution, they may have something to fear, but not others. That was always my feeling. Now, once it so happened in the morning, probably around 10:30, I was alone in my office taking care of some paperwork. I sensed some movement at the entrance door of my office. When I lifted my head, I saw MS Ramaiah ji standing at the door and asking for permission to enter my office. I immediately got up and went towards him and ushered him inside. MSRG unassumingly came in and sat in a chair. I sat opposite to him, wondering what may be the reason that he gave such a surprise in visiting me in my office. He himself told, "I was just passing by, I felt like speaking to you. Can we have some tea?" he asked. Now, that was a very overwhelming experience, that he was exhibiting so much of simplicity that brings in so much of confidence in you. And I am sure I remember correctly that it occurred to me I have to work very hard in this institution and then come up to the mark, come up to the expectations of this great man. That's the kind of feeling it generated me. This has happened almost 1991, 92 and almost 30 years ago. So it is still crystal clear in my mental eyes. Now, MSRG was always conscious of the development of various departments. He wanted all the departments to be in the forefront. And when he gets confidence that some head of the department or some professor can deliver goods, he would go all the way to support his proposals. The example of that is, after a few months after I took charge of the department, we had to expand the computer center. There were some old computer systems, PDP-11 systems, and also the number of terminals, workplaces for students were also not enough. We required clearly an expansion of not only the space for work as well as the number of computer machines and the modernization of the machines and software. See, MSRG cleared my proposal just like that. He granted that you can go ahead and procure 90 computers. And then he also ordered an extra space adjoining the computer center at that time to be renovated and properly made up for placing the extra computers. At that time, the cost of the computers, software and these things exceeded 1 crore. It's a very big amount. All in one go, just in one bill, everything was cleared. So that is the kind of interest that MSRG showed not only in the computer science department, but in all other departments, I should think. In any case, that is the kind of confidence that he gave in me and then supported the development of the department. Now, one last situation, instance, not actually instance, it is his attitude towards the staff and faculty of the department I would like to mention. That is, he held all the staff and the faculty, that is the human resource of the institution, with great care and love. He always looked at them, that used to be in his mind always. Their welfare was of his interest. He knew that institutions are not built by brick and mortar alone. Institutions are really built by people, and especially institutions of higher learning are built by faculty and the staff who work in various laboratories, offices and so on. This was very clear in the mind of Shri MSRG. That's the reason he used to express that also. He had ensured that the pay package, salary and other emoluments to all the faculty and staff must be dispersed right at the end of each month without delay. And secondly, the emoluments must be always on par with what the government of Karnataka would prescribe. And from time to time, if those salary scales were revised, it was his order that they must be implemented in toto and at the earliest in his institution. It was always a talk in Bengaluru by the faculty and others of other institutions that whenever salary scales are revised, you are the people, MSRAT people, you are going to get first always. That is the kind of remark they would give. This is actually the outlook that Shri MSRG had always towards the faculty and staff, and I would certainly say that this attitude has played a great role in bringing up the institutions to the highest level that it is today. He always used to say, MSRG, that it is not all his doing, the building up of the various institutions or any other thing. It is not all his, it is all Bhagavan's, it is all God's. I am only an instrument in his hands. That was his attitude. And we also know by experience the kind of developments that he did in the institutions, and the number of institutions he built while he was alive were so much. And where did the money come from? The money came from the earnings of those institutions only. There is a Purandara Kirtana which starts as Keraya Neeranu Kerege Chelli. What it means is, whatever that has been obtained or earned, the fruits of somebody's work that is God's given, and it has to be plowed back for the same cause from which he earned it. And we see that in MSRG's work, he developed so many additional institutions, and the money actually came from the earnings of the same institutions. The money was not for selfish purposes at all. It is mainly for the establishing and providing a solid foundation for the development of all the institutions and for expansion. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka in the 3rd chapter. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. MSRG would put back that fruit back to develop additional institutions. That means the earnings that you achieve is God given, and you have to expend it for the sake of dharma. And that's what Bhagavad Gita says, and that is termed as Karma Yoga. And as I narrated about MSRG's attitude, his devotion, his spirit of doing the work and plowing back the fruits of his karma back into development of institutions, are sufficient to say that MSRG was a true karma yogi.
Greetings, I am Dr. Adhinikant, former principal of MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology. Our great beloved founder chairman, late Shri Dr. MS Ramaiah, a great visionary, a compassionate philanthropist, a true karma yogi, and I had the great fortune to work under him, and it gives me immense pleasure, and in fact I consider it as an honor to pay my respects to him on this auspicious occasion of his 100th birth anniversary. Lord Krishna says in Gita, Yadya Chachariti Shrestha Tattad Devetro Janaha. Whatever the most splendid one does, the rest follow. Dr. M.S. Ramaiah was one such Shrestha. And I cherish the golden period in which I had the good fortune to work under him. and it is indeed a privilege for me to recollect the experiences that I had with him during those days. Dr. M.S. Ramaiah had a sharp local intelligence and a sound knowledge of the practical context. But this was not all. He had a magnetically humane personal touch which made us get bound to him in a deeply emotional way. In fact, when I joined MSRIT, I did not have a plan of staying there for too long because I came from industrial background, and I thought that I would spend some years here, then go back to industry or set up my own industry or a consultancy center. But such was the personality of our beloved friend and chairman Dr. M.S. Ramaiah that once I came into contact with him, a kind of a bond got established, and I felt that it would be a privilege to work under him. That was his personality, and that is what made him successful in establishing a very large number of high quality institutions. It was indeed my good fortune that I worked in one such institute, M.S. Ramaiah Institute of Technology, for a fairly long period. During that period, every interaction that I had with our Honorable Founder Chairman was a learning experience for me. It revealed a new facet of his personality. The learning that I had from my interactions with him were useful to me not only in my professional life but in my personal life, because he had that unique ability to empathize with people, to understand the ground reality, and then suggest a way that is both workable as well as really a solution to the problem at hand. Now, these were the traits that really made me get attached to him in a very strong emotional way. It was beyond an employer-employee relationship. That was his magnetism. Having come from a very, very humble background, Dr. M.S. Ramaiah understood the value of human beings. In fact, in several conversations, he used to tell that it is the people who build great institutions. And every interaction, he would reveal something of his experience, something of the struggle that he had to go through to establish these high quality institutions. These lessons you cannot learn in a classroom. You cannot get that kind of experience by reading a book. It's a process of osmosis. As you interact with the noble soul, you tend to learn what is it that makes people really great. And really it is my good fortune that I was able to interact with him, though it was a relatively short period, quite often, and he had a kind of a special attraction or soft corner for all the people who were working with him. There were several occasions where he would surprise me by showing his empathy. Once I met him, and while we were talking, he found that I was slightly uncomfortable. So he asked me, "Rajinikanth, what's it?" That time actually I was suffering from sciatica, so there was some pain, and that's what I told him. I thought that he would just give me some advice, but to my utter surprise, he immediately called his driver and asked him to take me in his car to the hospital. And he called the hospital and told them, "Here I am sending one of my people, Rajinikanth, please take care of him." It was simply astonishing the kind of love that he could spontaneously exhibit towards the people who worked with him. And these are the qualities that one learns when one comes through life in a hard way. And these are the kind of lessons that we learnt by interacting with him very closely. Yes, he was highly successful in a worldly way. That is quite evident. He was able to establish a very large number of successful institutions and other organizations, industries. He was also a great philanthropist. He established a great center at Kaivara. This is all true. But beyond all this, he had a very deep philosophical sense of what human life is and what is its true purpose. And this philosophical sense is what made him a true karma yogi. In fact, often he would say, what we leave behind is not the physical wealth that we create, but the knowledge centers that we create, which allow a country to progress, humanity to progress. What we leave behind is the setup, the organizations, the institutions which work for the welfare of the humanity. And that is how the future generations should remember us. That was really touching for us at a personal level. And this deep philosophical sense is what makes this great soul unique. Yes, there are people who are successful in a worldly way, but very rarely you find a Shrestha Purusha, what Lord Krishna said, a Shrestha Purusha whose actions are such that others gain by following them. Dr. M.S. Ramaiah was such a Shrestha Purusha, and it is indeed an honor for me to have worked under him and learned something from him. And it gives me an immense pleasure, in fact an honor, to pay my humble respects to this great soul on this occasion. And again I repeat, Yadya Chatarate Shreshtaha Tad Devo Devetaro Janaha. Sa Yat Pramanam Kurute Lokastad Anuvartate. Whatever standards are set by such exalted souls, the world follows them. During the early periods of information science and engineering departments working, we used to work on the side facing the New Bell Road. That was a kind of a new campus, and that is where we were working. And in that place, there was a room where our beloved friend chairman Dr. M.S. Ramaiah used to come in the evening and spend considerable time in philosophical discussions, learnings from great scholars. And that time, if we meet him, he used to engage us in conversations that are not in any way related to educational institutions or college, but those conversations were always about the philosophical aspects of human life, the true purpose of human life, how we come into the world, what is that we leave behind, and what is the ideal way that one should lead one's life. What does one mean by detachment? What does Lord Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? What are the spiritual legacies that our great country has left us, and how do we understand these aspects? These were the things that he would discuss, and really we were amazed that a person from such humble backgrounds has understood, internalized, and really appreciated such spiritual matters in such an extraordinary way and could convey them to others in a lucid fashion. Not only he understood, but he was able to convey those ideas to others in a very lucid fashion, which shows that actually it was not simply a parrot like repeating, but he internalized all those things and he lived his life according to that. And those periods were all periods of extremely great value to us. Even today, when I remember those conversations, really my eyes become moist with tears. Such a great soul, and it was a God-given opportunity for me to have worked with him, though it was a relatively short period. And the kind of lessons that I learned from him, as I mentioned, helped me not only in my professional life, but also in my personal life. because basically his understanding of life was really profound, a great soul indeed.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಆ ಮಹಾನುಭಾವರಿಗೆ ಮೊದಲ ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಮೃತ್ಯಾಂಜಲಿ. So I am Dr. K.S. Rajanandam, former principal of MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology. I am feeling very humble to speak about such a great personality, a godlike man today. And whenever I think about him, my eyes moisten and I have a very warm feelings, because that particular bereavement and losing such a great personality will haunt everybody, the people like me, for the lifelong. And I am really very happy at least to recollect my association with the great personality, Dr. MS Ramaiah ದಿವಂಗತ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. I joined MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology as a lecturer on 21st of August 1980, and the first thing what I did is, before reporting to the department, I went for his darshan and had his blessings. And he told me, oh you are joining, okay, be here and definitely you will have your future. That is his blessings first time. And I was so overwhelmed that time that I thought, okay, I will work till my retirement here. And like that I worked there for 32 years, occupying various positions and all. The sir, Dr. Ramaiah sir, MS Ramaiah sir, it is very difficult to see such a person in life. I feel myself very much blessed, honored and fortunate to be associated with him for 17 years, from 1980 to 1997. And whenever he comes that side to our department, daily he used to come around 11:30 for rounds, and whenever he comes, he particularly approaches me, and if I am there, then he put his hand on my shoulders. Such a great man. I am so simple, shoulders, and say, hey Dora, bagunnara. And that is his great personality. Even there is a generation gap between me and the sir, but even then he actually respects the faculty in such a way. Even very small man, he addresses us Neevu, or in Telugu Meeru, like that. So that is his greatness. And I feel I was really overwhelmed by that. And I always feel, see, being such a great personality and giving an opportunity for so many people and all, he is so simple, humble, and respects the people. Like Shri Krishna Devaraya, the great king of Shri Krishna Devaraya, respects his say the poets, like that. And then whenever I see him, that experience really I will never forget in my life. And whenever I just think about him and all, I feel so. Then as Alasani Peddana has told about Shri Krishna Devaraya, ఎదురైనచో తన మద కరీంద్రము డిగ్గి కేలూతనిచ్చి ఎక్కించుకునియే. That means that is the respect the sir is having towards the faculty members. In fact, all the people, we worked in tandem with such an energy, and see, sir is having such an aura, and whenever he comes, so that energy, really what the energy, we feel really we are so much energized, and we have to do anything for this institute. In fact, we have served the institute in such a way that is our institute without any legal rights. This is our institute, like that. So we worked, and not only me, and every person. So if there are 200 faculty members, all the 200 faculty members, he used to so see alike, and he used to respect even the lowest, I mean the person in the cadre. So that is his the greatness. I am really very happy. I am so much indebted to him, that my growth is there completely in the MSRAT. That is definitely due to his blessings only. I feel now, so I came here to Bangalore as anybody, and when I left MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology as somebody. So really that losing him, and I never expected. In fact, say 1997, I went for a conference, the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, and for that also he sponsored me. When I approached him, sir, I am going, okay, he blessed me, okay, go and come. But unfortunately, by the time I came back, so he was hospitalized, and then within days he has left to his heavenly abode. Then I thought, okay, how the Arjun, the demise of Krishna, how the Arjun has reported to Dharmaraja. మనసారథి మనసచివుడు మననెయ్యము మనసకుండు మన బాంధవుడు మన విభుడు గురువు దేవర మనలను దిగనాడి చనియే మనుజాధీశ. That means he is everything to us. He is Guru, Devara, advisor, everything to the people who were working in MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology that time. So that is his greatness. And so really, I really felt so sad that I was not able to just have his last darshan because I was in Delhi and all. Then what I did was, in our department, by that time I was the head of the department, and in my department I put his photo, and almost for 2 years from 1997, I put every day I used to get a garland and put to his so photo. That is the affection and the reverence I got to the great personality. And really he is having that indomitable spirit, and as I said, whenever he comes, that energy will automatically so come to us. Apart from this, whatever he chooses, he choose the very good people, and he never interfered in the academics, and always he saw how best he can keep the employees happy. In fact, during my tenure, I got loan for taking this site from the college. I got loan. Subsequently, I got loan to construct this house, so from the college, for very, very low interest. That is the welfare measures so sir is having towards his employees. And as I said, the bereavement of these great personalities like my parents, and then sir will definitely haunt me throughout my life. And finally, I would like to say, in Bhagavad Gita, as Bhagavan Krishna has said to Arjun, the qualities of the godlike men, Tejakshama dhritis saucham adroho natimanita bhavanti sampadam daivim abhijatasya bharataha. So the godlike people, what are the qualities the godlike people shall have? All those properties our sir, Dr. MS Ramaiah is having. And now finally, I would like to say only one thing. I served sincerely for 32 years, 17 years under his guidance, and subsequently for 15 years under the great leadership of his sons. And finally, I would like to just say one thing. The people will come and go, but for people like Dr. MS Ramaiah, the fame will be there forever. I have to call him as a Karma Yogi and Mahatma, a great soul. ಆ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರ ಕ್ಷಮಾಗುಣ ಎಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡದಂತಂದರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವವರು, ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ, ಒಬ್ಬರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲಸದಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದಾಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಡಿಬಾರ್ದು. ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಆಗಿದರೆ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಮೆಂಟುನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ಅಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗುಣ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಕ್ಷಮಾಗುಣ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾರಿಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಅವರನ್ನು ದೈವಾಂಶ ಸಂಭೂತ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಅಂಥವರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಆ ದೈವಗುಣ ಇದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಥವರೇ ದೈವ ಸಮಾನರಂದರೆ ಅವರೇ ನಿಜವಾದ ನಮ್ಮ ಯಜಮಾನರು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮಂಥವರು ಕೂಡ ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನನ್ನು ಅವರು PhDಗೆ ನಾನು PhDಗೆ ಅವರ ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ PhD ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಅವರ ದಯಾಗುಣದಿಂದನೇ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಎಂಕರೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನನ MTechನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿದರು, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನನ PhD ಕಳಿಸಿದರು. ಹಂಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನನ ಕ್ಷಮಿಸಿದರು. ಅವರ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ಅಸಂತೃಪ್ತಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದು ಬೀಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಅವರ ದೈವತ್ವ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆಭಾರವಾಗಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ಐ ವುಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಸೇ ಒನ್ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್. ಶ್ರೀ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಮಹಾಶಯು ಕರಮರದಗು ಕೀರ್ತಿವೆಲೆಯು ಕರಿಭಿತ್ ಗಿರಿಭಿತ್ ಕರಿಭಿತ್ ಗಿರಿಗಿರಿಭಿತ್ ಕರಿಭಿತ್ ಗಿರಿಭಿತ್ ತ್ವರಂಗ ಕಮನೀಯಂಬೈ. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೊ ದಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ನೆಸ್ and the characteristics and the greatness of Dr. M.S. Ramaiah is such pure and spotless. It is like the color of Shiva, Kailas Parvata, Airavata, Vajrayudha and Uchchaisrava, like that. Spotless, pure white, spotless. That is his fame and kirti. In the coming so many centuries, his fame will be there, spotless, and such great personalities will be very, very rare, and I don't think that I will be able to see again such a person in my life.
ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಇದು ಒಂಥರ ಪೂರ್ವಜನ್ಮ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವರು ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಫೌಂಡರ್ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್, ಗೈಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಒಂಥರ ಗಾಡ್ಲಿ ಫಾದರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಫೌಂಡರ್ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಹತ್ರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದಂತರ ಒಂಥರ ಯಾವುದೇ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಆದರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗೈಡ್, ಹೇಳೋರು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಈಸಿ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಗಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್. ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನಮಗೆ ಅವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗೋವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಬಿಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕಲಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಲಿ ನಾವು ಇರಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ನಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನಂದರೆ ಯಾವ ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಚಿಕ್ಕವರು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡೋರು. ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಟೆಂಡರ್ ಹಿಡಿದು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಹಿಡಿದು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲು ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂಥರ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನೇ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಮಗೊಂದು ಅದು ಭಯ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ತಿದ್ದೋರು ಯಾವ ಥರ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋರು. ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಇದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಭಯ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ನಮಗೇನೆಂದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಕಲಿಸ್ಕೊಡೋರು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತಿದ್ದೋರು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಲಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದೊಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದೇನಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಹುಷಾರಿಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದಾಗ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಡೈಲಿ ಅವರು ಬಂದು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಅಂದರೆ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆದರೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಡೈಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಅವರು ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಒಂದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ನಾನು ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ನು ಆವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೂ ಏನೋ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೋಗಿ ಈ ಥರ ಹುಷಾರಿಲ್ಲ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಕೇರ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೈಲಿ ನಾನು ಹುಷಾರಾಗೋವ್ರಿಗೂ ಡೈಲಿ ಬಂದು ವಿಚಾರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ನು ಫೌಂಡರು ಬಂದು ವಿಚಾರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ನನಗೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಇದನ್ನು ವಿಷಯನೂ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ಸಾಗಿ ತೊಗೊಳ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮವರು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತಂದರೆ ಯಾರನ್ನೂ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನನಗೆ ಅದೊಂದು ನಾನು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಮರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಸ್ಥಾನದ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಆ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ನೋಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಧೈರ್ಯ, ಇದಾರಪ್ಪ ಇವರು ಅಂದರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಧೈರ್ಯ. ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದೇನು ಅಭಿಮಾನ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತಲು ಇರೋರಿಗಾಗಲಿ, ಅವರ ತಿಳಿದವ್ರಿಗಾಗಲಿ, ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಬಂದರೆ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡೋರು. ಅದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ ಏನೇ ಇರಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಲಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡೋದಾಗಲಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಅವರು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರೂ ಅಂದರೆ ನಿರಾಸೆಯಾಗಿ ಯಾರೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಉತ್ತೇಜನ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಗಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನೋಡಿದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಭಯ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾವ ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಲಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು ಅದೇ ಥರ ನಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಈ ಹಿಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ. ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಇಂಥ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಲಿಯೋದು ತುಂಬ ಇತ್ತು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಅವರು ಶಾರ್ಪ್ 11 o'clock ಆಫೀಸಿಗೆ ಬರೋರು. ಶಾರ್ಪ್ 11 ಅಂದರೆ 11, ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ 11ಗೆ ಬಂದು 12:30ವರೆಗೂ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್, ಏನೇನು ಯಾವ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ 12:30ಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ 12:30 ಹೋದರೆ ಅಬೌಟ್ 2 o'clock 1.5 2 to 15 ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರೋರು. ಮತ್ತು 1 hour ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಫೀಸು, ಮತ್ತು 3:15 ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಆ ಒಂದು 3-4 hours ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ ವರ್ಕ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸು. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗೋದು. ಈ ಒಂದು 3-4 hours ಆ ಡೇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು ವಿತೌಟ್ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್. ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಪವರು. ಏನು ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಲಿ 20-30 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ರಿಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬನ್ನ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನೇ ಅವ್ರ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಣ್ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇದು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಗೋಕುಲ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ 1997 ಇದು ಓಪನ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಆವಾಗಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಬರೋರು. ಬಂದರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಇವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರೋರು, ಹಳಬರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲವರು ಬಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಯಾವುದು ಹೇಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮನೆ ಕಡೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರಿಸೋರು, ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳೋರು ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್. ಯಾರಿಗೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ತಾಳ್ಮೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆ ತಾಳ್ಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಒಂಥರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಉಪಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಆದಷ್ಟು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಇದಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಬಂದವರು ಅದು ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೋರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬರೋರು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಯಾರೋ ಒಂದು ದೇವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವೇನೋ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಂದರೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ ಕೈಯಿಂದ ಯಾರೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಹಣ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬರೀ ಕೈಯಿಂದ ಯಾರೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಕಳಿಸೋರು, ಅವ್ರು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬ ಇವ್ರು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊ ಅಂತ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನೋ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬನ್ನಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಲೆಟ್ರ್ ಕೊಡಿಸೋದು ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಾರಿ ಕಲಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ತರ್ತಾನೆ ನೋಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಅದು ಬರೀ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್. ಅವ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನಾನ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಈ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲ ಸಾಕು ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಗೋಕುಲದ ಶ್ರೀ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ವರ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ್ದು 49th ಡೇ ಪೂಜೆ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅವತ್ತು ನೈಟೆಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಪೂಜೆಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಬೇಕೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಪೂಜೆ ಸಾಮಾನುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ತಂದು ಟೆಂಪಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೈಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 9:30, 10 ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಫೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸರಿಯಪ್ಪ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಬೇಗ ಬಂದುಬಿಡಿ ಅಂತಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವತ್ತು ನೈಟು ಮಿಡ್ನೈಟು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ತಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಎತ್ತ ಅಂತ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ 25th ಡಿಸೆಂಬರು ಅವರು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ನೋ ಮೋರ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಅದು ಕೇಳಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಒಂಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅನಾಥ ಭಾವ ಬಂತು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂಥರ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಇದ್ದು ಒಂಥರ ಧೈರ್ಯ, ತುಂಬ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ವಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇನ್ನು ಈ ಥರ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೇ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು, ಆ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದರು. ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇನೇ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಬಂತು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ, ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ, ಗುರುಗಳ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ, ದೇವ್ರ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿದ್ದು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ದಾರಿದೀಪ ಆಗಿದ್ದರು. ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್, ಈವನ್ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಚುವಲ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಸಾರಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿತ್ತು, ನೆಗೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈಸ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು. ಸೊ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೀಯನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಳೋದಿತ್ತು. ಆವಾಗ ಫೌಂಡ್ರ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ರಾವಣ ಎಂಥ ದೈವ ಭಕ್ತ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಂತೆ, ನಾನು ರಾಜ್ಯಭಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೀನು ರಾವಣನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವ ಥರ ರಾಜ್ಯಭಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಬ ಅಂತ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ. ಆ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ಇದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವನು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಆದರೂ ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ನೀತಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅಂಥದ್ದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ, ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀನು ಹೋಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಬ ರಾವಣನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ಬರ್ತಾನಂತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ರಾವಣ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನಂತೆ, ನಾನು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಏನಂದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದೆಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಪಾಲಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಟ್ಟದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಅದು ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಕೆಟ್ಟದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಪೋನ್, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ಯು ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಆ ಒಂದು ನೀತಿ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಫೌಂಡ್ರು ಅದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದೇನು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರಿವತ್ತು ಒಂಥರ ಗಾಡ್ಲಿ ಫಾದರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದರು. ಅದು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಏನೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೂ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಹಾಕಿ ಹುಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ದಾರಿ, ಅವ್ರು ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಗ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅವರಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಅವರು ಅವತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಲಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದರು, ಅದು ಇರೋದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಒಂಥರ ಈಸಿ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸು, ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸು, ಅದು ಇವತ್ತಿಗೂ ಅದು ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್. ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸಗಳದು ಅದೇ ಥರ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಜಯಶೀಲನ್ ಅಂತ. ನಾನು MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ 1975-76 ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುವಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟು ನನಗೆ ಈ ಕಂಬಿ ಕೆಲಸ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಯಜಮಾನ್ರು ಅವರು, ನಾವು ಸಾಹುಕಾರ ಅಂತಲೇ ಕರೆಯೋದವ್ರನ್ನ. ಸಾಹುಕಾರ ನಮಗೆ ಆ ಇನ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ನಂಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ತುಂಬ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ತುಂಬ ಕ್ಲೋಸಾಗೇನೆ ಇದ್ದರು. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋರು, ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡೋರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಸಿಲ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಪ ಇರೋದು, ಆ ಕೋಪ 2 ನಿಮಿಷನೇ. ಆ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ನಮಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಕಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಭಾರಿ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಯಾರು ಇದ್ರೂ ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಹಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡೋರು. ಅವರು ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳೋದೇನೆಂದರೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಸುಳ್ಳುಗಳು ಹೇಳೋದು ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಆವಾಗ ಏನು ನಾವು ಇಂಡೆಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೂ, ನಾನು ಏನು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರೂ ಆ ಇಂಡೆಂಟ್ನ ಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋರು. ಏನು ಎತ್ಕೊಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನ ಬಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೈಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸರಿ, ಅದು 8 ಗಂಟೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸರಿ ಬಂದು ಟಾರ್ಚ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನೋಡೋರು, ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟು 10% ವರ್ಕ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಖುಷಿ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಇವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಹಿಂಗೆ ದಿನಪತಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ತುಂಬ ಅದು ಕೈವಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ, ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಸುಮಾರು 87ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕೈವಾರಕ್ಕೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಭಾನುವಾರ ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಲೇ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಜೊತೆಲೇ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಅವರು ತುಂಬ ಬಂದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಕೆಲಸಗಾರ ಏನು ಕೇಳೋದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಲಿ, ಏನೋ ಕೇಳಲಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು ಎಂಥವ್ರನ್ನೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಆಫೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಫಸ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರನ್ನ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಏನಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಅವ್ರ ಕೆಲಸ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಫಸ್ಟು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು ಆ ಅಟೆಂಡರ್ಗೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಫಸ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸಗಾರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಮುಖ್ಯತ್ವ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಕೆಲಸದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದು ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಶೆಡ್ ಹಾಕಿ, ಶೆಡ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಲೇಬರ್ ಇಟ್ಟು, ಲೇಬರೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ರಾತ್ರಿ 10 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೂ ಲೇಬರ್ಗಳು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರು. ಅವರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವರೇ ದುಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕಂತ ಒಂದು ಆಸೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟವ್ರು ದುಡ್ಡು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಲೇಬರೇ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬಿದ್ದು ಅವರು ತಗೊಬೇಕು, ಅವರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆಸೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಅದು ತುಂಬ ಇದೆ, ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು. ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದ್ರೂ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊತಾರೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಚೀಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಕ್ಷಣ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ನ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬಂದು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ನೋಡಿ ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸನೂ ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಧೈರ್ಯ ಕೊಡೋರು. ನೀನು ಮಾಡು, ನಾನಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನೀನೇನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅದು ಏನಾಗಲಿ ನೀನು ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಧೈರ್ಯ ತುಂಬಿಸೋರು. ಆದರೆ ಅವರ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡದು. ಆ ಪ್ರೀತಿನ ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮುದ್ದವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದ್ದೆ. 12 ಗಂಟೆ ಆದರೆ ಸಾಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಲೀಗ್ಸು ಸದಾಶಿವ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆಫೀಸಿಂದ ಬರೋರು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗೋವಾಗ ಯಾವ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತು ಅಂತ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೇ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ, ಫಾರ್ಮಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಬರೋದು ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಹಂಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಂಟ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ವಿ. ಹಳೆ ಸ್ಟೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳೋರು ನನಗೆ. ಏನಂದವರು ಅಂದರೆ, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ನಾವೊಂದು ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಕಾಲು ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳೋರು. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ನೋಡು ದೇವರು ನಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡವರವರು. ಅವರು ಈ ಮಾತು ಅವ್ರ ಬಾಯಿಂದ ಹೇಳೋರು ನನಗೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ನಾನು ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ಈ ಪಾರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದು 8-9 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೂ. ಆವಾಗ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಅದು ನಾನು ಆವಾಗ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಇವರು ಇಂಥವರೆಲ್ಲ ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊತಾರಲ್ವ, ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮನಸ್ಸಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಅಂಥ ದೊಡ್ಡ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯವರು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡದು. ಅವರು ಬಡವನ್ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಒಂದೇ ನಾನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅವರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. 97ರಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೌಲ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕೆಲಸನೂ ನಾವು ಅನೇಕ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಮದುವೆಗೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮುತುವರ್ಜಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಬಂದು ಅವರು ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಇಂಥಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅದು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಆಗಲಿ ಹಗಲಂತ ನೋಡಿದೆ ನಾವು ಆ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ, ಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನನೂ ಅವರು 97ರಲ್ಲಿ 3 ತಿಂಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 4ಗೆ ಮದುವೆ ಆಯಿತು 97ರಲ್ಲಿ. ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 11ಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಬಂದರು. ಈ ಪಾರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರು. ಒಬ್ಬರೊಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವತ್ತು ನೈಟು ಏನಂದರೆ ಸೋಮವಾರ ಬಂದು ಆಯುಷ್ ಆಯುರ್ಧರ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಅದು ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ 6 ಗಂಟೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ರಾಮಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದರು. ನಾವಿಬ್ಬರೇ ಅವ್ರ ಆಫೀಸಿಗೆ ಒಳಗೆ ನುಗ್ಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಇರೋ MBA ಕಾಲೇಜು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಲವು ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಹೇಳಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹಿಂದೆನೇ ಎದ್ದು ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರಿ. ಯಾವತ್ತು ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಹಿಂದೆ ಬಂದು ನಾನು ರಾಮಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಕೊನೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಬೈಗೆ ಇರೋರ ಹತ್ರ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತಂದರೆ ಅದೇ ನಾವು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 7 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬರೋವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರ ಯಜಮಾನರು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಂದರೆ 11ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು 97ನೇ ವರ್ಷ 11ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಆ ತಿಂಗಳು ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 25 ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೈ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋದರು. ಇನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ ಆಸಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಏನೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ಅದೇನೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಇದ್ದರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ಇದ್ದರು. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದೇನಕ್ಕಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರು ನನ್ನ. ಕೈವರೆಗೂ ಅದಷ್ಟು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟು 9:30 ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋವಾಗ ಬಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅನ್ನೋರು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನನ್ನ ಗಾಡಿ ಇದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದು. ಅವಾಗ ಎವ್ರಿ ಡೇ ಒಂದೊಂದು ದಿನವೂ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಅವರು 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋರು. 9 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು 10 ಗಂಟೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ 9 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೆ ಕೆಲಸಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲಸ. ಅವ್ರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಗಿಬೇಕು, ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಗಿಬೇಕು, ಇನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಒಂದೇ ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು ಈ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು. ಅದು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಇದೆ, ಈ ಬಾಗಿಲು ಇಲ್ಲಿಡಬೇಕು, ಈ ಕಿಟಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಡಬೇಕು, ಇದೇ ಥರ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ನಾವು ಇನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡದು. ಇವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಇದಾಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೆಳ್ಳೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಂದರೆ ಅವರು ತುಂಬ ಕೀಳು ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರೋರನ್ನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನೈಟಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ 2 ಸತಿ ಆ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳೋರು. ರೌಂಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳೋರು ನೈಟಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಅವರು ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳೋರು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅವರ ದೊಡ್ಡ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅವಷ್ಟು ಕೀಳು ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿನ ಅವ್ರು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ಕೃಪೆ. ಅಂಥ ದೇವರಂಥ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊತೀನಿ.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ದೆ, ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಲ್ದಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಒಂದು ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಸಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಟ್ಟು ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಸೇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಗಾದೆ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹುಡ್ಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಏನೇನೋ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಾಲ ಕಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಆಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಇಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ ಅಂತ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಆಗ ಮತ್ತಿಕೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಲೈಬ್ರರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು, MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಆವಾಗ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನನಗೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಭಯ ಇತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನೇನೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಅವ್ರು ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಒಂದು ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯೂ ಬಂತು 2ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು, ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ 2ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯೂ ಬಂತು 1992ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯೂ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಕರೆದ್ರು. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಏನೇನೋ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಅವರಂಥ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮನುಷ್ಯರು ಒಬ್ಬ ಇವನನ್ನು ಯಾವ ಥರ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವತ್ತು ಕೆಲಸದವ್ರನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಾಗಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಏನು 3 ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದೆಯಾ, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀಯ, ಏನಿದ್ದಂತ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಓಕೆ ಅಂದರು. ಅದು ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ 7 ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಬಂತು. ಅವತ್ತು ಬಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಚಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಇದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಅವತ್ತು ಬಂದು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ 1997 ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ 7. ಆ ದಿನದಿಂದ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕಂಡಿದ್ದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ದೈವ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಅಡಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದ್ದು. ನಿಜ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ದೇವರನ್ನ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಗುಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ಹೋಗಿ ಕೈ ಮುಗಿತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ಅಂದರೆ ಇವರು ನಡೆದಾಡುವ ದೇವರು. 100 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ದಾರಿ ಮಾಡೋರು, 100 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಕೊಡೋರು, ವಿದ್ಯಾದಾನ, ಅನ್ನದಾನ, ಯಾವ್ದು ಮಾಡದಿರೋ ದಾನಗಳೇ ಇಲ್ದಿರೋ ಅಂಥ ದೇವರು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಕೆಲಸ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದೇ ಒಂದು ಪುಣ್ಯ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು MS ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಸೀತಾರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋರು ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ಬಂದೆ, ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಅಂಡರಲ್ಲೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಇದು ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆಲೂ ಇದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಅದೊಂದು ತುಂಬ ನನಗೆ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಅನುಭವ. ಕುಟುಂಬದೊಳಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬನ ಥರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಅವತ್ತಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತಿನವರೆಗೂ ಅದೇ ಥರನೇ ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಥರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಟೈಮು, ಕೆಲಸ, ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಯಾರು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯತೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋವಾಗ ನಾನು 1997ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ದೇವರೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು ಮಾಡಿದರು, ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದರು, 100 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆದರೆ ದೇವರನ್ನ ಅವರು ಆ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವರನ್ನ ಸೇರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಇದಿತ್ತು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ದೇವರ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಇತ್ತು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಕಟ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಕಟ್ಟುವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಚಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು 100 ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ವಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಈಗ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಂಥ ಈ ಜಯಶೀಲ, ಚಿಕ್ಕಣ್ಣ, ಸದಾಶಿವ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇರೋರು. ಇವರಿಗೆ ಕೋಪ, ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಭಯ. ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು. ಅವರ ಮಗನ ಹತ್ರನೇ ಅವರ ಅಂಡರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ನಾನೇನಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ, ಅವರು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡೋರು ನನಗೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ 1997ನಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಓಪನ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನೀನು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊ ಅಂತಲೂ ಸೀತಾರಾಮ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನನಗೆ. ಹೇಳಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನೋಡೋ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ನನಗೆ ಆಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಚಾಚು ತಪ್ಪದೆ 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಂದು
ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇದೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸಿ ಹೋಗೋರು, ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು. ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅದು 1 ವಾರ ನಡೀತು, ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ತಪ್ಪದೆ. ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ 25ರಿಂದ ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 11ರವರೆಗೂ ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಹಾಗೇ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಂಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು. ಆಗ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳೋ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೋಪ ಅವರ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ, ಬಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೋಪ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಕರೆದು ಯಾವ ಇದೂ ಇಲ್ದಿರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಕರೆದು ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಈಗ ಜಯಶೀಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ. ಅವರೇ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಅವರು ಹಂಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಹಿಂಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೋವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಇಂಥವ್ರು ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಭಾಗ್ಯ ಸಿಗ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಆವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರು 11ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಕರೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕೆ ಗಂಟೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರು, ಅದು ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕಾ, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಆಗ ಕೂತು ಅವರು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ, ಅವರು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಯಾರನ್ನೂ ಮುಟ್ಟಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡವ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅಂಥದ್ದು. ನಾನು ಅವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಹೆಗಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿ ಎದ್ದರು. ಅದೇ ನನ್ನ ಲಾಸ್ಟು ಇದು. ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ದೇವ್ರ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊತೀನಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೋ ಅದೇ ದಾರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕುಟುಂಬದವರು ಸಹ ಅವರು ಅವತ್ತೇನು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನಡಿಬೇಕು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಇದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿಕೊಟ್ಟ ದಾರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಅದೇ ದಾರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಈ ಲೌಕಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಇವತ್ತು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಥರನೇ ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ್ಯ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಆ ದಿನಗಳ ಕಳೆದಿದ್ದು ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ. ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ನಾವು ದಿವಸ ಆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಅವ್ರ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ತಪ್ಪಾಗಲಾರ್ದು.
91ರಿಂದ 97ರವರೆಗೂ ಯಜಮಾನ್ರ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಆವಾಗ ಅವರು 91ರಿಂದ ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ, ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲೂ ಇರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ 11 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಸಾಹೇಬರು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ 12ವರೆಗೆ ಆಫೀಸಿಂದ ಕಾಫಿ 12 ಗಂಟೆ ಕಾಫಿ ಕುಡಿತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ತಿರ್ಗಿ 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಈ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ನಂತರ, ಈ ಥರ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವತ್ತು ಆ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿರಬೇಕು ಕೆಲಸದವರು ಅಂತ. ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸು ಚಿಕ್ಕಣ್ಣ ಅಂತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಯಶೀಲ ಇದ್ದರು. ಆ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಹೋಗೋಷ್ಟಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಜೊತೆಲೇ. ಒಂದು ಆ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು, ಆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ತಿರ್ಗಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರೋರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಂದ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋರು. ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಹೋಟ್ಲ್ ಕರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ. ಆ 5 ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಹೋಟ್ಲ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬೃಂದಾವನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಆಫೀಸಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅವರ್ 1.5 ಅವರ್ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಬಂದು ಕಾಫಿ ಕುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಮನೆಗೆ 2 ಗಂಟೆ 2:15ಗೆ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಟ್ಟು 7 ವರ್ಷ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ. ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅವ್ರು ಇವತ್ತು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿರೋಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ನನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇವತ್ತು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವರಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಜಲ್ದಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. ಒಂದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅವತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ 1 ವಾರ ಮುಂಚೆ ನನಗೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲದ ಹೊತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ವರ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ, ಪಕ್ಕ ಗೋಕುಲ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ವರ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಹೊತ್ತು ಬಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಅದೇನು 1 ವಾರ ಮುಂಚೆ ನನಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಇನ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಇನ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇವರು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ಬಿಡಲಿ ಇನ್ನು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಕರೆದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನನಗೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆದ 1 ವಾರಕ್ಕೇ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆದರು. ಅವತ್ತು ಅದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ದೇವರೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದೇನಂತ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನನಗೆ 1 ವಾರ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ ನನಗೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ 11 ದಿವಸ ಅವರು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನು ಅವರು. ಅದೊಂದು ತುಂಬ ದುರತ ಆಯಿತು ನಮಗೆ. ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಇದಕ್ಕೇ ತುಂಬ ನೋವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರು ಕೋಪ ಇದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಡೆದು 1-2 ಏಟು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಕರೆದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ತಲೆ ಸರ್ವಿ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗೋರು ನಮಗೆ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಮರ್ತೇ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡೋರು. ಅದನ್ನು ಆಸೆ ಬರೋಷ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮರ್ತೇ ಹೋಗಿರೋದು ಅದನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಪನೇ. ಈಗ ಅವರು ಅವತ್ತಿಂದನೂ ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಈ ಕಣ್ಣಿಲ್ದವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವತ್ತು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಆಗ್ತಾರಂಥ ಕೋಟ್ರನ್ನೇ ದಾನ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ವರ್ಷವೂ ಅದೇ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಬರೆದಿಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದೇ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ತಿರುಗಿ ಅದೇ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಒಂದು 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾಯಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದೊಂದು ದಾನ ಯಾವತ್ತು ನಡೀತಾನೆ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ ಅದೊಂದು ವರ್ಷವೂ ಅವರು ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅವ್ರ ಕೋಟೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೋಟು ಮನೆಗೆ ತರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೋಟು ಪ್ಲಸ್ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು.
Hello, I'm Abhigna. I'm studying in final year of physiotherapy. I'm from the physiotherapy department. So yeah, Ramaiah is an emotion. It's like one of the leading institutions in Karnataka. I mean, like all good stories, it started from the scratch. Was a very small institution, but they have made their way through. And yeah, talking about my course, physiotherapy, like Ramaiah is one of the best institutions for physiotherapy. The amount of exposure we get here is second to none. Trust me, the neuro rehab which we have in our hospitals is you don't find it anywhere else in our country. And the exposure which we get, we just have to thank the founders who have invested in such a good rehabilitation facility. And other than that, in campus life too, I have my school friends here who's doing law, so who's doing engineering. So I'm not really away from them. I have a really good in-campus bonding with students from other courses as well. If Sir Ramaiah was here today, I would really like to ask him what was the inspiration behind his entrepreneurial spirit, and what made him think that he should give back something to the society by giving us such huge campus, by giving us exposure here in the giving us something which is almost equivalent to a foreign university in terms of exposure, in terms of the living in campus, in life campus by what they call it.
Hi, I'm Ria. I'm a 4th year student studying MBBS at Ramaiah Medical College. I'm proud to say that Ramaiah Medical College has been my home for the past 4 years, and since the moment I stepped foot in the campus as a nervous first year student, and since this very moment, I'm proud to say that I feel part of a family where I'm welcomed and loved, and there's so many opportunities. It's always right around us, whether it's literary or sports, and the fact that the campus keeps growing every day is testimony to the fact that there is more chances for all of us to grow as students as well. And we're really grateful for this whole institution and this establishment and the founder, the Honorable Mr. Ramaiah, and well, it's because of him that we are all here right now. As I see the campus and the people in it around me, I feel that the Honorable Dr. Ramaiah was a visionary above all else, and he was able to find potential in probably the most barren of lands years ago, and was able to give life to it to make it one of the most culturally and socially happening places in Bangalore right now. So.
Hi, my name is Agnika. I'm a 3rd year medical student at Ramaiah. I'm also a dancer, and the thing I like about Ramaiah is that I am encouraged to do my dancing as well as study medical school. And the thing which attracted me in Ramaiah, other than the other medical colleges, were the infrastructure here and the way they use the modern technology. That's what I liked about it. And also that the campus is filled with different curriculums, like there's engineering college here, and then law school coming up, and then med school as well, and other nursing schools as well. The other thing I like about Ramaiah is that they encourage us for research a lot, other than besides us studying med school. And the faculty is very good here, and they're very knowledgeable, and you can go and talk to them anytime. Speaking of the founder of Ramaiah, I think one of his vision would have been to have all-rounded students who are encouraged and not just to be perceived just as medical students. And the hospital too here are good, and we get to go anytime and check out cases or anything. So I would ask you, if you were alive today, that what was your motivation to build Ramaiah? Like, what inspired you to build a nice, like, amazing campus here in Bangalore? I would say that you've built a campus where the students are very happy with what all they have, all the options they have other than the college. The college itself is very good. So we're all happy that you've built such a nice infrastructure here. For my future, MS Ramaiah is helping me with giving me the opportunity of like research, and also like the medical faculty, like the learning we get, we can go self-learn, and also we get exchange internship programs, and that will give me more opportunities in the future.
Myself Vikram Gowda. I'm the first year medical student who's studying in MS Ramaiah, and it's been already 1.5 years or 2 years max since I stayed in Ramaiah. And the main thing is, whenever my friends and family ask me, I'm very proud to say I'm the student of Ramaiah, because the Sir Ramaiah has built the infrastructure so well that it's been like the motivation and the dream to many other colleges. And it's very nice, the infrastructure and the way of teaching, the teachers. I don't know what intention Ramaiah sir has built it, but it's I think I'm telling it, but it's fulfilling his wishes. And the thing which I joined MS Ramaiah was basically I'm an international swimmer. So MS Ramaiah is like the hub of sports, and they select and encourage sports to such a level that many sports persons have been selected to India and represent India, and they have been practicing in the Ramaiah, and they were represented at Ramaiah College. So that's what inspired me most to take up Ramaiah College. And coming to the campus, campus is like, it's the best in the Bangalore, and I'm pretty sure no college would come to its level of campus. And what else to say then? Coming to the encouragement in studies and sports, Ramaiah has been very very good at its sports, in both sports and studies. They know how to, Ramaiah students actually manage well in both sports and studies. Being a medical student, I know all of them are medical students here, and they're very good at studies itself. And it's very proud to talk about tell myself that I'm a part of the Ramaiah family. And coming to the part where it motivates me for joining Ramaiah is like, Sir Ramaiah has dedicated himself, has dedicated his life for this institution, and he's built to a level such that no institution can can overcome this and take his name. So, and I'm very proud to be in this institution.
ಸರ್, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಆನಂದ್ ಮಾನ್ಕರ್. ಉತ್ತರ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವರು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು 35 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯಿತು. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ BE ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಕಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ MBA. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೇನೆ ರಾಮಾಯ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂದಾಗಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು ಓಡಾಟಕ್ಕೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಇದೆ, ಸಬ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ HMTL ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ನಾನು ಭಾಳ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆಮ್ಯಾಗ ಇವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇವ್ರ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಒಬ್ರು ಗಿಟ್ಟಪ್ಪ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕಮ್ಗೊಂಡು ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಾಗದಾರ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಪರಿಚಯ ಇತ್ತು. ಈ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಇವರು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ಲು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಬಂದದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ಇವ್ರು ಭಾಳ ದುಡ್ದು ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಬಂದಾರ. ಇವ್ರು ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಧರ್ಮದ ಕೈಗೆ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಒಂದು ಕಾಲೇಜು, ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ, ಒಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೂ ಗಂಡು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಪಡೆದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಊರು ಧನ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಅದನ್ನಾಗ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾಲು ಮುರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೈ ಮುರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಶುಶ್ರೂಷತೆ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಈ ವಿದ್ಯಾದಾನ ಮತ್ತು ಇದೇನು ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ದಾನ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಇದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ ಅದು ಇದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ದಾನ, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಅವರು ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗೂ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಎ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಅಪ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಗೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಸಮಾಧಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಐ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಡನ್ ಟ್ರಿಮೆಂಡಸ್ ಜಾಬ್. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕಾಲೇಜು, ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಂದಿಗೆ ದಾರಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರಲ್ಲ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಏನಾರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಡ್ನಾಗ ಬಿದ್ದ ಹೊಡೆ ರಾಮಾಯ ಹೊಡೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವಂಗೆ. ಇದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದು. ಇಂಥವ್ರು ಬಾಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಂಥವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗರೂಕತೆ ಇದೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ದೇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆತ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಶಾಂತಿ ಕೊಡಲಿ ಅಂತ ಬೇಡ್ಕೊತೇನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಾತೇನಿಲ್ಲ.
Mr. Ramaiah is the founder chairman of Gokul Education Foundation. He is a philanthropist, educationalist, and because of him, the Matikere area has improved a lot, both educationally as well as financially, and he has given education right from nursery to engineering college and medical college, and many students have benefited because of him. And he has given employment for thousands of people, and he is a great personality, and his vision for improving this Matikere, has brought accolade to him from all sections of society. Really hats off to Mr. Ramaiah for his marvelous achievement and in the field of education and other construction activities. Mr. Ramaiah is the founder chairman of Gokul Education Foundation. He is a philanthropist, educationalist, and because of him, the Matikere area has improved a lot, both educationally as well as financially, and he has given education right from nursery to engineering college and medical college, and many students have benefited because of him. And he has given employment for thousands of people, and he is a great personality, and his vision for improving this Matikere has brought accolade to him from all sections of society. Really hats off to Mr. Ramaiah for his marvelous achievement and in the field of education and other construction activities.
ಬಹಳ ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಟಿ ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ರಾಮಾಯಣವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಆವಾಗ ಒಂದು 10-15 ನಿಮಿಷದ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮು ಅದು ಅವರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅವರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನೀವು ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಇದನ್ನು ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ನೀರು ಬಂದುಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒರೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ನಮಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂಥರ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಅವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಡತನ ಮತ್ತು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ನನಗೆ ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತು, ದೇವರ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆಮೇಲಿಂದ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲೈಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಒಂದೆರಡು 2-3 ದಿವಸ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ನೋಡ್ತಾರಂತೆ, ಸುತ್ತಲೂ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ನಾನು ಯಾರಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಂತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಂತೆ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಇದು, ಆ ದೇವರ ಕೃಪೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇದನ್ನು, ಆ ದೇವ್ರು ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರೇ ಸ್ವತಃ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಮಾತನ್ನು. ಅದು ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಯಾರಿಗೇನು ಕೆಲಸ ದೇವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅದು ಅವರಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರೂ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ದೇವ ಕೃಪೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲನೂ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಶಕ್ತಿನೇ ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆನ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅವರ ಆತ್ಮ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದನೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು.
I have known the MSR group of institutions, hospital for a long time. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. M.S. Ramaiah somewhere in the early 1980s, and he was accompanied by his son M.R. Jairam, who is presently the chairman. That was in connection with some professional matter. All that I remember, it was a very brief meeting. All that I remember is he was a very soft spoken kind man, great humility in talking to people, despite his being quite a well-known man in those days itself. After that, I do not think I met him anymore. My association with the Ramaiah Hospital and Ramaiah Memorial Hospital it's quite good. As a matter of fact, about 10 years back, I was in the hospital admitted for dengue for 4 days, and I was taken care of extremely well. Thereafter, we have, myself and my wife visited the hospital for several consultations. She was in the hospital, Ramaiah Hospital, for cancer treatment. Nalini, Kilara and her husband and the group of doctors in the HC or whatever, HCC took care of her extremely well. Despite that, she passed away about 3-4 years back. The treatment given, the way in which the visitors visiting them, everybody was looked after extremely well. Thereafter, I have consulted mostly in the cardiology section, headed by Dr. Prakash, whom I know also for a very long time. When I was not really well at all, my daughter came and took me there, and I was in the on instructions from Dr. Prakash and others, not only he, many others. I was in the CCU for 4 days, and again another ward for 1 more day. And I would say I got the best of treatment I could expect. And I am presently speaking to you because of their efforts. Not only Prakash, all his office, the doctors attending in the CCU, nurses, other assistants did extremely good job. I would have normally said good job, but I'd say extremely good job, because that was the treatment I got there. And today you are seeing me because of that. The location of the hospital on the new BL road is very helpful to a large section of the people living in and around this area. And as I personally know, most of the people here get to the, as a initial treatment, rush to MS Ramaiah Hospital, say a minor accident or any ailment, they rush to the hospital for immediate attention. The location is very, very beneficial to a lot of people in this area. Mr. MS Ramaiah, late MS Ramaiah, whom I had, as I said earlier, had met, was a very imposing personality, and would look very quiet and unassuming for people to meet. He never displayed any authority. Very nice human being.